everybody, welcome back and Happy New Year. Today I'm going to be doing a recipe from my youth, and this is when I lived in Texas. Having black-eyed peas and cornbread is supposed to be a good luck way to bring in the new year, and we're going to do exactly that. So Happy New Year, everybody. Now we're going to be doing these really simply. All we have here is a little 1-pound bag of dried black-eyed peas. We're going to be using some salt and pepper and a little bit of onion for some flavor. Now, if you've ever had any kind of dried beans, when you cook them, you want some meat flavor. If you're a smoker, by all means, use anything you have left over or any cuts off the meat that you're not going to eat. That would absolutely work in here as well. We're going to be using smoked ham hocks. This really starts when you're using dried beans with soaking them. It says you can soak them overnight. The method I like to use, especially for something the size of a black-eyed pea or a small pinto or a navy bean, is I go ahead and put some water on the stove. I boil them for about 2 minutes. I then turn off the water, or turn off the stove, close them up, and just let them sit. 4 to 8 hours is really what you want. So it's early in the morning. We're going to get these things started, and that's all that we're going to put in there. We're going to take them out, and we're going to let them sit. And by sitting, we're going to start sauteing some other items and getting the meat and everything else ready to actually cook them. So let me show you how we go about doing this. Now they say as you pour these beans in that you should pour them out into the pot and then go through them and look for any pebbles. It just means that as it's going through the harvesting, there is a chance there can be some in there. I think I just saw just a dark bean there. But here's a good example. You can see this half a bean that's very dark. Just want to go ahead and take that one out of there. And I'm going to do the same thing and look for any others that look a little odd to me. All right, with that, we're just going to go ahead and add in some water. Now I don't want to do too much. I just want to get these guys covered up. They will about double in size, so that's probably enough because I'm only going to cook these for about 2 to 3 minutes. And if you see anything floating on here that you don't like, sometimes if a skin comes off, you'll see it floating. It's a good way to pull them right out of there. There we go. Now, I am a fan of seasoning at this point. These are going to swell up and absorb a lot of the liquid, so we may as well get some flavor in them. Just some salt and pepper. Just give this a good mix, and we'll go ahead and cover it up. What we want to do is, once it comes to a boil, we're going to let it boil for about 2 minutes. That is it. Now's a good time to find anything you want to pull out of here. See, I see a little burnt one there. Get rid of that guy. There's another one, see it discolored there. Pull him out. It's amazing how fast that water is getting warm already. Alright, so this has been on now for about 2 minutes, and that's all we want. We really don't want to go crazy with this, and it's amazing. Let me show you this, just how much water soaked up into these beans. Alright, look at that. You can see the water I had in there before, it's almost soaked all of that up, which is exactly what we want. This is what softens the beans and allows them to get good and delicious. Now we're just going to go ahead and pour in some more water here, and we're going to cover this and let it soak. You'll notice the color of this doesn't look all that appetizing, but the idea here is these beans will soak water into them and about double in size. We're just going to gently take these beans out of here so we can replace the water essentially. Now you want to be gentle with these. What we don't want to do is end up with refried beans here. So we want to just slowly scoop them in. If you have a colander, feel free to pour them in. That'll work as well. With that, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of our water here, and then we're going to put it back in the pot, cover it with fresh water. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and dump this old water. I'm then going to go ahead and put the beans back in this pot. It's nice and cool outside. I'm just going to leave them right out here on the grill with everything off. I'm going to cover them up with water, about twice as much water as I have beans. They are going to continue to soak in and absorb a little bit more of that liquid. All right, I'm just going to put these guys right in here, add in a little more salt and pepper. We don't have to put as much salt in here. Remember, we're going to be putting some smoked ham hocks in here, and that'll add some of that salty flavor. And now we're just going to go ahead and cover this up until it's about twice as high as the beans. And that's it. We'll set a timer for 4 hours, and then we'll come back and we'll actually cook these up. This prep takes about 5 minutes. That's really all it is. And then we're going to go in and do other things. These will cook in about 35 to an hour and 15. That's usually what they take when they actually get ready to cook. So let's go ahead and see you in here in a little while. Let's say about 4.5 hours later. The nice thing is, it doesn't matter. This could go 4 hours to overnight. So I'm going to go run other errands and do other things and just come back and do this whenever I get done. I'll let you know how long it is when we actually get back here to start doing it. All right, these beans have been soaking for a little bit more than 5 hours now. Again, as we saw earlier, we just had them in water. We boiled them for about 3 minutes. We took them off that water. We drained the water. We put clean water in, and we've just had them sitting there. That way they begin to absorb and get a little bit more tender. It's now time to go ahead and cook these up. I went ahead and put these on low, and I'm going to show you what we're going to add to this. Some ham hocks, or what we're going to do is we did a ham. We actually did a smoked ham and made some ham cubes. You'll see that recipe next week. But when we did, we actually pulled the bones out of it. And what I did is I smoked that a little bit in the smoker while we were making some of those ham bites, and then I toasted the outside of it on the Blackstone griddle. You don't have to go through all that. Go to your local grocery store, buy a couple of ham hocks, throw them in. Just as good. But this is a nice little flavor, and we get to use something that we were already cooking up, and it was going to be extra anyway. All right, so we've got this on low, and it's interesting. You can see just how dirty the water gets again. That's just the color of the black-eyed peas. That's all right. We're going to get some good color and flavor in here. Now, we're going to go ahead and add in our ham hock that I talked about earlier. Just drop one of those guys in there. Now, we smoked up some ham the other day, so I'm going to go ahead and pour in a couple of small chunks of that. Even crisped up a little bit of the fat and the skin. That looks good. We'll just mix this up a little bit. Now, the last thing we want to do is, here is the big old ham bone that we took out of the ham when we did it. We're going to put this whole guy in here. Barely fitting in that pot, for crying out loud.
Over here. Yeah, right here. Hey, do me a favor. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like it, subscribe to the channel and click on that little bell notification so you get notified of new videos. Thanks.
That will be some amazing flavor. We're just going to go ahead and cover this up, but leave it open just a tad so we can get some air escaping out of there. So we have this just open a little bit so that some of that steam can escape and we don't have it boil over. I've got it on its lowest setting. We'll come out and we'll stir that, I don't know, about every 10 minutes or so. That is what we'll do to prep this. With that, I will see you guys out here in about 10 minutes when we mix this whole thing up. Stay tuned. So this has been on now for about 35 minutes. Just been on a nice low simmer, which is exactly what we want to see. I went ahead and took the big ham bone out of it just because it was really kind of keeping the pot from being able to get closed, and a lot of the water was evaporating out. I'm just going to grab one of these peas here. Ooh, they are hot, hot, hot. I don't know why that surprises me. So they're almost the texture I like. I don't like them to be completely soft and falling apart. I like them to be just a little bit firm or a little dense, to hold their shape, if you will. Now, they are soft. If you mix them up too much, you will break and bang them up. Let me kind of show you what this is looking like. So we're just mixing it up so nothing's sticking to the bottom. And as you can see, we have our ham hock in here. We have some chunks of that ham bone that fell off while we were cooking it, and just little chunks of ham that I cut up and put in there. So that is leading to all that delicious flavor that we're seeing in this thing. So let's cover this back up, and we'll go about another 15 minutes or so. And I'm leaving it open just a crack here so some of that heat escapes out. All right, these guys have been simmering for about 45 minutes longer, so probably total about an hour and a half. They are looking good. Now, I don't like mine to be really soupy, so I like to let some of the water boil out of them, and that's kind of the way they're at now. The water just has, you know, maybe that high over the top of them, and it's bubbling quite a bit. So if I just let this simmer for a few more minutes, that will simmer completely out of there, and it'll be perfect. Forgive my very little bowl, but these things are hot. I'm going to let that keep simmering. Let this cool off a little bit. I'll show you what this looks like. Tell me that doesn't look good. Delicious black-eyed peas. Now this looks absolutely phenomenal. How do you like that for a little bowl? Nice and tiny. But I'm just going to try a few of the black-eyed peas without the ham in it to start. This is the way I like them. I like there to be a little bit of a bite to them. Not crunchy, but I don't want the beans to just turn to mush. I actually like them to have a bean feel in my mouth. But you just close your tongue up against the roof of your mouth and they crush right up. Absolutely delicious. I'll tell you, having all of that seasoning from the ham hock, the smoked ham hock and the smoked ham pieces in there really adds to some of that flavor. You know, we put some seasoning in it as well, but that's really what makes a difference. Now, you can make that a lot better by just having a little chunk of that ham right in there, in with the beans. That's good. That's real good. This is what you need for a good luck New Year's Eve meal. So we will be having some of this with a few rolls or cornbread to dip down in that liquid and sop up all the stuff off the bottom. Bon appetit, Happy New Year, and we'll see you all in the new year. Bye now. Safe and happy grilling.